ABS. That's the Nothing Personal Word of the Day. It is Monday, March 30th, 2026, and we're talking about baseball because the season started and people are losing their minds, and I am here for it. I respect it. I want you to be fans. I want you to think that your team is 3-0. You are ready to roll through September. I want you to look at 0-3 and say we're screwed. Come on. The overreaction from the first part of baseball season is one of the most spectacular things because it doesn't happen in other sports. When you win your first football game of the season in the NFL, you do not change your views of who's going to make the playoffs. Now, when you're 0-4, you'll start a few stats. The only teams to start 0-4 to make the playoffs, etc. But remember the math. It's 10 MLB games for every one NFL game, roughly. Now that there's 17 games, it's not exact. It's like 9.6, but you know what I'm saying. It's been 3 whole games. ABS has become the rule change from this year where everybody has decided that this is what they want to focus on. When a challenge system happened, when NBA coaches were allowed to challenge, when the red flag was allowed to be thrown in the NFL, it's a note for sure. But this level of scrutiny for a system just continues the narrative that's been going on for roughly, a century, where Major League Baseball changes something and everyone views it as though we have decided to all of a sudden start the year on December 31st and end it on January 1st. Were there some nuggets from opening weekend that made me smile? Yeah, CB Bucknor is a bad umpire. Why is it that anyone is surprised that CB Bucknor would get challenged and then lose those challenges in what is an unprecedented number? Please laugh with me when I say unprecedented. It's been 3 games. I am not going to tell you that CB Bucknor is going to get better because he's not. I'm not going to tell you that the fear of ABS was very simply that certain umpires would get embarrassed. No, not going to tell you that because that was the damn point. MLB knew exactly what was going to happen with certain umpires, and believe me, they're okay with it. Players, okay with it. Umpires, okay with it. People are saying that umpires must be embarrassed. They must be mortified. Well, no, they're not. The fact that one umpire, CB Bucknor, just listen to the crowd in Cincinnati when Eugenio Suarez challenges 2 pitches in a row that were called third strikes.
Now the 2-2. Called strike 3, tap the helmet again. He says it's off the plate away.
Batter's challenging the pitch.
Here we go.
Now, it's new. We all play with our new toys more, and then when you get a child a toy, they play with it, and then it gets forgotten about, but you don't give it away. You keep it somewhere in the room, and then another toy happens, then another toy happens, and before you know it, you are trying out for hoarders. So that reaction by the crowd, it's amazing. Cincinnati opening weekend, it's the way baseball should open every year with the parade and the crowds. I'm in for all of it. The reason why the cheers are so great is that what ABS is going to do, because of what baseball is, where you've got time because there's no clock. And so there, I'm talking about in the game, and you've got time to live in a moment in a way that other sports just don't give you. When there is a flag thrown at an NFL game where there's a defensive pass interference at the end of the game with a chuck and you're just praying and it comes, yeah, that's a good cheer. When there's a holding call and all of a sudden the team's on the road and they just had a 30-yard run to put themselves in field goal position and there's a holding call, random might I add, but a holding call, which can be called on every play, might I add, but a holding call that impacts the game, might I add, there's cheers. But what you heard in Cincinnati and what you're hearing around baseball is all about the SNT. That's it. It's all about the shiny new toy. The importance of it is exactly what was anticipated by baseball and the union players and the union umpires, because of the significant difference that happens when you've got a 2-2 pitch that's called a strike and all of a sudden it's a ball and it becomes 3-2. Or a 3-2 pitch that's a strike, inning over, that becomes a ball. Not only is the inning not over, but that runner takes his base. We saw what happened with the Red Sox in that very series when Roman Anthony challenged a called third strike. It ends up being ball 4. The Red Sox end up scoring 2 runs in an inning that last year would have ended. So the impact on games, the impact on player statistics, both positively, Roman Anthony gets to hit the ball. Negatively, a pitcher gets a walk added to his stat line instead of a strikeout. There is always the yin and the yang of batter and pitcher with any rule change. Anything that happens in the union can't benefit both pitchers and catchers. There is no rule change, even the pitch clock, that has equal benefit to both. The fact that managers are going to get ejected over ABS, anticipated. Is it noteworthy that Derek Shelton, the new Twins manager, is the first manager to be ejected by arguing an ABS challenge situation? No. Noteworthy is the first, and then that's the end of it. Barely a footnote. Over 3 games, the ABS statistics are just about exactly what the stats were over a full season being used in the minor leagues. Just about exactly what they were over spring training. The reality is pitchers are not going to tap their hats very often. They did it 4 times through Saturday. The reality is that catchers are going to get it right the most, which is how it should be. If you're telling me that a catcher right now went 40 for 63 through Saturday in successful challenges and that somehow is showing you how bad the umpires are, it's not. I heard an argument this weekend, Coca, that surprised me greatly. The argument was that every time a ball gets changed or a strike gets changed, just that there's an incorrect call, ABS is proving that umpires are less both useful and talented than the positive people thought, and it matches what the negative people thought. I don't draw that conclusion, that statistical conclusion, that emotional conclusion from the stats that resulted in the first few days of a baseball season. I won't draw that conclusion after a year of ABS. What I will draw is, like other sports, it is impossible not to get a call wrong. We have decided as a society that our tolerance for being wrong is gone. Instead, either, just think about this for a second with me, either when you're debating someone about politics, you certainly don't listen to what the other side is saying. Lefts, rights, there's no conversation. If you're a centrist, you're a moron because it has to be that way because you've got to feel strongly. No one's listening. No one actually cares what anyone is saying. Baseball, it's the same concept. There is arguing on both sides of traditionalists versus non-traditionalists and what their view is, and they're not going to let the facts get in the way of a good argument. I don't want to be that way, so I'm not. I think ABS is working exactly as it should. The weekend also found some interesting, everything we say for the first few minutes of this show, it's been 3 games. I'm going to keep saying it like a mantra. It's been 3 games. We're like not even at halftime of game 1, week 1 of the NFL season. It's not even worth talking about. But you're going to hear about it, so I want you to hear it from me. Logan Webb, Paul Skeens, Matthew Boyd, and Aaron Nola had terrible first starts. All right, I said it. What did Logan Webb, Paul Skeens, Matthew Boyd, and Aaron Nola have in common? Think about it. What did Paul Skeens do in March? You know. You watched. Logan Webb, you definitely watched. Those are Team USA pitchers. Matthew Boyd, another. Aaron Nola, remember? His parents once went to Olive Garden. Aaron Nola. Yeah, they had bad starts. Skeens couldn't get out of the first inning. If you didn't watch Skeens opening day, that was the great game with Skeens and the Pirates against the Mets. The Mets had quite a weekend. They got a walk-off on Saturday with their new player, Louis Robert. But in any case, Skeens didn't make it out of the first inning. Never happened before to a Cy Young winner that their first start of the next season that the pitcher could not get out of the first inning. He had 37 pitches, 38 pitches. There were miscues by O'Neal Cruz in center field. There were a couple of barrels, but not many. There was some command issues. Doesn't matter. Consequentialist. Skeens went 2/3 of an inning and gave up 5 runs. Hard stop. Logan Webb went 5 innings, gave up 6 runs. Not what you'd expect from someone you think can win the Cy Young. Aaron Nola, 5 innings pitched. He gave up 3 runs as well. Nope, won't do it. I'm not doing it. There is not any through line that these pitchers pitched in the WBC and now they both stink are going to get hurt. Nope. The reason why I'm doing a wait to see that one of these 4 pitchers will be on the injured list before the end of June. But, Coca, that's an official wait to see. When we tell you something's going to happen, if it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. Just go to davidsamsonpodcast.com. You can check out all the wait to sees. The reason I'm going to say that one of Logan Webb, Paul Skeens, Matthew Boyd, or Aaron Nola will go on the injured list before June is because there's nothing people like more than confirmation bias. There's nothing people like more than getting to argue. Look, that's why the WC should be in July. Look, this is why players don't want to pitch or teams don't want to let their players pitch in the WBC. It means injury. And I'm here to tell you that pitchers are getting injured no matter how much you protect them. No matter how few innings you throw, no matter how few pitches you let them throw in a particular inning, no matter how great your training room is because you redid it and you made it bigger and you've got all these bits of equipment and you hired 14 people to do the job that a quarter of a person used to do only 25 years ago, all of that's great. Let me ask, to all the teams listening out there, is it working? Is it working that you're stopping injuries? All of the live BP that you're throwing to start spring training, trying to outsmart, outwit, and outlast all the other GMs and all the other front offices out there, where people now copy and it becomes a thing in spring training where pitchers are throwing live BP out of the gates, where hitters are doing these ridiculous drills where they are swinging out of their shoes like 1,000,000 times a day. But you're right, there aren't extra oblique injuries. Don't you worry. I'd like you to go back to when I was in the game, and this is not me going to sit here and I long for the days of when life was easy back in the 2000s. and 2010s. No, I'm just curious. If someone out there, and it's not going to be Coca, and it's not going to be me, if you counted the number of players that I put on an injured list for an oblique injury over 18 years, it certainly wasn't one a year. So I'm going to take the under on 18. The number of oblique injuries that I see now, but don't worry, you're all doing it right. All the front offices have it nailed. The reason the front offices have it nailed is that all the players are exchangeable. You swing as hard as you can, as much as you can, you get hurt, moving on, we got another guy. You throw the ball as fast as you can, get to 100 right out of the gate, throw 98, 99 that you're blowing out of the bullpen. Do it. Oh, you're hurt? Your elbow blew? No problem. We got another one of you. You are exchangeable parts. The reason why they're exchangeable is that analytics would tell you they're exchangeable. Therefore, why would you think that owners in a collective bargaining agreement, why would you think that GMs during GM meetings, during trade talks, why would you think that they would take the position that they need to measure each trade from an economic standpoint, from a service time standpoint? Folks, this is baseball. You can like it or not. I remind you of what the Commissioner Emeritus used to say, Bud Selig. This is your game, gentlemen. He would call us gentlemen even if there were ladies in the room at owners' meetings, which there were always one or two, and that's it. This is your game, I don't blame him. When you're an octogenarian, you talk that way. Hard to change. This is your game, gentlemen. What kind of game do you want? Do you want a game with all strikeouts and walks and home runs? Do you want a game where you're paying players to not perform for you? You tell me, gentlemen. And you know what our GMs would always tell us? Oh, we're smarter than the other teams. This is exactly what we want. Careful. You're getting what you want. Though I'm not sure San Francisco is getting what it wants, because having been swept by the Yankees, the team that I picked to win a wild card has been officially eliminated. The San Francisco Giants season is over. They will not win another game. They are looking at breaking the record set by the White Sox a couple years ago. Sorry, Cubs fans. That was almost matched by the Rockies last year. The San Francisco Giants are about to lose $130. Come on, folks. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Yeah, the Giants got swept at home by the Yankees. God, it stinks. Do you know how you get swept at home? You strike out 27 times and you score 1 run. That's all. That's how you get swept at home. You know what we should do, Coca, but we're not going to. But maybe one of you will, who's listening to this or watching this on Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. Was there a team last year that didn't lose 3 in a row? Because I will bet dollars to donuts that all 30 teams, Dodgers included, lost 3 games in a row at one point in the season. Let's start with that. Next. Was there a team that scored 1 run in 3 games? I'm going to say at least 24 teams had a stretch where they scored 1 run in 3 games. 24 teams is my guess. Starting the season that way. You want to know why I always wanted to win opening day? Because of you all going nuts. Now, Tony Vitello, I told you from the start, was a hire by Buster Posey that is an ego vanity hire to prove to everyone that Buster Posey is smarter than every single other GM out there. Does it sound familiar, Craig Breslow? What is the former players, good players? Yeah, interesting. Anyway, GMs have this habit. They can't have it be that media or podcasters or people on TV, radio, wherever, that they know what they're talking about. That can't be. GMs have to have the ability to say to their owner, The reason you're paying me all these millions of dollars is that I've got a different skill set. I've got a different level of intelligence. I just know better. Then the San Francisco Giants bring in Buster Posey, thinking that he will be the GM of San Francisco's dreams. When he hired Tony Vitello didn't have 1 minute of major league coaching or managing experience. He didn't have 1 minute of minor league managing experience. He was a college coach. Well, the adjustment after 3 games has been rough, but I told you the adjustment at best is never happening. 4869. I'm telling you the adjustment at best will take a year and at worst will never happen. When you hire Tony Vitello and you know what he's going to be, you know that he is going to give these unbelievably motivating, give me a small break, clubhouse conversations. He is going to be a rah-rah players manager. Love you guys. Whatever you want to succeed, I'm here for you. I am not a mole to the front office. Screw the front office. I'm your guy. Tony Vitello found out very quickly that professional players are far different than college players. Shocking that no one told him that in advance. When Ken Rosenthal interviewed him during the game that was on Fox this weekend, Tony Vitello actually said, you know what? What have I learned, Kenny? I've learned that I can't talk down to my players because they're all around my age. I don't know where the Giants PR department is, but wherever it is, I would get rid of every single one of them because the baseball PR person is responsible to handle Tony Vitello, to help him understand what you should say and what you shouldn't say. When you do a post-game press conference after 1 loss or 2 losses and you go up there and say, man, I'm too high strung. This is too much. This is on me. I've got to do a better job managing. I've got to recognize that these players need to be put in the best position to win, and it's my job to maximize their talent. And I may have given a preseason speech that was too much. That's not what a manager should be saying after 3 games, after 2 games. Not even after 10 games. Listen, would I want my manager to address an 0-10? Maybe. Tony Vitello suggested to the media that his speech had been fire and brimstone, as he called it. Maybe the players put too much pressure on themselves. A little insight into players and team meetings, as much as I had team meetings, which I did, and I'd go to the clubhouse and meet with the team, and then I would evaluate myself and have other people evaluate what I said, and I'd be thinking to myself, did that get through? Did that not get through? And I'd speak to some of the pitchers in the food room after, some of the position players, hey, how did you receive that? Because we all tell our bosses the truth. We all tell them that their S doesn't stink. All of us. Robbie Ray is a veteran pitcher for the Giants, and he said, dudes, we're all major league players. Like, just stop. There's no reason for this sort of behavior out of a manager. It's a 162-game season. Let it breathe, for crying out loud. It's like sticking a bottle cap opener into the bottom of a bottle of wine and chugging it like you're shotgunning a beer. Yeah, it may be effective, but you're probably not getting the most out of that bottle of alcohol. I also don't like the booing. I must tell you, Coca. I don't think it's right. The Mets fans are already booing Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette, who signed a contract out of this world. Of course, he left Toronto. It's an absurd annual value. It's an absurd length. There's nothing normal about Bo Bichette's deal. He had a nice year. He's had a nice several pre-free agent years with Toronto. But Give me a small break. On the other hand, being 1 for 14 with 8 Ks in the first 3 games is not boo-worthy. How can you expect your boos to actually impact a player or impact a manager or a front office? Have people actually listening to what you say as a fan base when you lose total and complete credibility by booing Bo Bichette for a 1 for 14? Bo Bichette was asked about the boos after the game, and listen to what he said.
No, if anything, I thought it took too long. But I mean, I get it. I thought my at-bats were terrible too, so.
Hell yeah, Bo. Take ownership of a 1 for 14 with 8 Ks. Tell the New York fans that you're okay and totally fine with them booing you. Tell them that you thought your at-bats were terrible, which they undeniably were. That's how to get a fan base to love you. That is someone who got good advice from his agent or from somebody, a teammate, a veteran, a coach, anybody in the Mets organization in dealing with the New York media. You don't fight them after 3 games. Fans, you don't fight them after 3 games. You go and acquiesce 1,000 times out of 1,000. And so Bo did, and I give him tremendous credit for that. If Bo Bichette ends up 1 for his first 100, I think we should talk about it. We should talk about the fact that he should be moved down from 3 in the lineup. We should talk about the fact that he should be benched. We should talk about the fact that, wow, there's some stats and analytics out there that say that 20 of those balls were 1 inch away from being base hits. So it's like he's 20 for 100. And if he were batting 200, no one would say a word. But now he's batting like 1. What's my theme? Do not overreact, please. Unless, of course, you're the Marlins and Marlins fans and you know you're about to win a title. You can do that. For all of the 26% of you who have some sort of relationship to Florida, the Marlins did sweep the Rockies this weekend. Outstanding. It's better to sweep an opening series. I did it maybe once in my career, maybe twice. It's great. You feel invincible. It's totally cool. It is not relevant. It has nothing to do with the grind of 162. But something was written about. I don't know about you, Coca, but I get offended. I don't know why it's so ridiculous, the fork that is in the heart of certain Marlins fans and media members about my time there. You see, opening day was not a sellout, but it was an announced crowd of 32,000, which means Turnstile was likely, I don't know, in the 26,000, 27,000 range. Game 2 against the Rockies on a Saturday afternoon drew about 10,000 announced, which means there was about 6,000 to 7,000 in the stadium. And people lost their mind. There were people on the Inter-Google saying, move the Marlins. They're a disgrace. Lowest payroll ever. That's why. No, let me explain. Crowds during the season are based on your season ticket numbers. It's why teams want to sell more season tickets than they do, because a full season ticket equivalent is someone who buys 81 games, or 2 people who buy a 40-game package, or 10 people who buy an 8-game package. It's a full season equivalent. What you get to do with full season equivalents is you get to announce them as having been at every game because they have already bought their ticket. Attendance announcements are tickets sold, not butts in the seats. So, the Marlins season ticket base is obviously low. It's low because it's been low every single year of its existence. It has nothing to do with Bruce Sherman. It has nothing to do with the ghosts of Derek Jeter or of me. It is simply that in that market, selling season tickets is extraordinarily difficult because the majority of the people who would buy season tickets don't want to, not because of supply and demand, because they're not there during the summer. One of the great Florida miscalculations that was made by the commissioner when it came to expansion is that Florida would be a state that would host baseball the way it hosted spring training. That South Florida would be an area because of the Hispanic population that would embrace baseball the way they do. And the answer is, we got it right, except for it's for World Baseball Classic games. So when people are criticizing the 10,000 attendance in game two, when you've got a lower season ticket base, obviously the numbers are going to be lower because the walk-up on a Saturday night after opening day, when you open on a Friday and people choose to go to one game during the weekend, they're going to choose opening day. So your walk-ups, your groups, your suite sales, all of them will suffer game two because you want to push them all to opening day. I will let you know when it's okay to criticize the Marlins, obviously. Just like I'll let you know when it's okay to criticize anybody from the commissioner to the head of the players union. But I also will let you know when your criticisms are off-based. So you want to talk to Samson is coming on Wednesday. No show tomorrow. We'll be back Wednesday. Plenty of time. We still have almost 18 minutes today, and we still have a whole nother hour we get to do today. But Wednesday, when we come back, we will do a So You Want to Talk to Samson. Make sure you pick up the phone and dial 631-377-4869. That number again, 631, you know the area code if you're a Suffolk County understander. 377, you know my name. It's DPS, like the show. NPDS, it's DPS. And then 4869, 4869, 4869. Let's do a review, Coca, please. All I can say is thank you. Thank you to the people who wrote me and said that I should be watching Band of Brothers. For the people who called me to tell me I should watch Band of Brothers, the one-season limited series on HBO. Thank you. I just appreciate it. I had not realized that it would be one of the best TV shows ever made. I would not realize, nor had I heard, that Ross from Cheers is in it, nor Damian Lewis from Billions and Homeland was in it. I truly did not know one thing about it, though it was some sort of vehicle with Tom Hanks and maybe Steven Spielberg, and I assumed it was some sort of documentary because it couldn't be as good as Saving Private Ryan or Apocalypse Now or The Deer Hunter or Coming Home or Platoon or Zero Dark 30. It wasn't going to be any of those. Holy criminy, did I get it wrong. Band of Brothers has a chance. It's certainly top 5 of all time war TV shows or movies, though I guess is MASH Korean War, I guess. Please watch Band of Brothers. It's older now. It's probably been around for 20 years is my guess. I watched it in 2 sittings, and the only reason I got up was a hemorrhoid issue. Other than that, I would have stayed seated the entire time. I watched a movie this weekend that just became available to stream with Rachel McAdams because she's in my category. Rachel McAdams just is. I'm going to see one of her movies. Dylan O'Brien, it's a movie called Send Help, directed by one of my favorite characters on screen from Indian Summer, one of my favorite movies, Sam Raimi. Of course, no one knows him from that except me. I'm going to review Send Help on Wednesday. I meant Ross from Friends. Did I say Ross from Cheers? I'm sorry, folks. I meant Ross from Friends. Thank you so much for cleaning that up, Coca. David Schwimmer's in Band of Brothers. We can thank you. That is a good correction. Do you remember we told you that during the course of baseball and the collective bargaining agreement, there's going to be owners who speak, and we're going to figure out and see who those owners are. Well, if this is your first Nothing Personal, thank you. Welcome to the family. Make sure you hit subscribe, but welcome to the family. Every day we get new people listening to the show, which is amazing. Part of what we've done over the last 1,431 episodes, with this being 1432 of regular episodes, we will talk to you about what owners are thinking, what they're saying. We'll basically translate what people are saying in the sports business world, in the sports world, on field and off, because I've heard it before. I've been around the block. When it comes to collective bargaining, there are going to be owners who have an opportunity to talk because it is a planned conversation. It is not an off-the-cuff comment made by an owner. The off-the-cuff comments are disallowed. You get told in no uncertain words, zip it. You may not talk to the media about collective bargaining, period. When you're Mark Attanasio, the owner of the Brewers, or Mark Walter, the owner of the Dodgers, you're in the category of people who are counted on by the commissioner to make sure that they've got the right message and are disseminating the right message, because as part of their CBA negotiation, whether it is a PR part, whether it is an actual negotiating part, a leverage part, whatever the reason may be, it's not a coincidence that Mark Attanasio came out and said, as the first team owner to talk about it, that the fact that the regional sports networks have gone away means that he has $20 million loss, greater than what he had budgeted, because his local broadcast revenue went down that much. The problem is that he then went on to say that the revenue loss did not impact payroll. Here's why we can't have conversations like this on our show, because it incurs the wrath of either players or owners, and oh, that's right, I don't care. Mark happens to be someone I know well. He's someone who there's some people believe could be commissioner one day, the way Tom Werner ran for commissioner back in 2013, being an owner of the Red Sox. The way Bud Selig ascended to be commissioner as owner of the Brewers. But when you are telling people and you are letting people underneath your kimono that you had a $20 million annual broadcast loss, what you have to follow that with is, when there is a decrease in revenues, there must be a concomitant decrease in expenses. Why is that so difficult? We all do it in our lives, in our personal lives, in our professional lives, whether we're in the C-suite, the D-suite, the E-suite, or the G-suite. When revenue goes down, if you don't bring expenses down, you better have another plan. When Mark Attanasio, the owner of the Brewers, is left to his own devices to talk honestly about what's going on in local broadcasting, he needs to be able to follow it up with something that will make it easier to negotiate with players. Because Mark did the first half really well. Our revenue's down. We're going to need more revenue sharing. There's going to have to be a change in baseball economics. We're going to have to talk about caps and floors, all of the speaking points that owners are supposed to be allowed to say, those who are given permission. But when you say it doesn't impact payroll, that flies in the face of the arguments that the owners are making. Because from a player's standpoint, hey, if your revenue goes down and you're not willing to lower your expenses and your payrolls keep growing, we're good here. Our biggest concern is that revenues are going to go down and we're not going to keep getting what we have been getting. Or number two, the revenues are going to go up and we're not going to get as big of, if not bigger, a share of the increased revenues. Those are the only CBA issues that exist. Forget all the ancillary stuff. I was quite surprised about all of this. Just think about the fact that the Milwaukee Brewers and what they did last year, best record in baseball, the #1 seed. No, they didn't make it through October. It is what it is. It happens. But they won 97 regular season games, and they have been to the playoffs what I think is 4 of the last 5 years. When the Brewers' payroll is about $432 million under what the Dodgers' payroll is, including all of the ancillary expenses and luxury, et cetera, you have to believe that Mark Attanasio, who's a part of the labor committee, who will be part of these negotiations, is going to be your one of very few spokespeople going forward. And all I was asking is that you clean it up a little bit because you don't want to not correlate. God, that's so many negatives, Coca. You want to correlate payroll with revenue. Mark Walters, the other owner I told you about, who was going to speak, and boy, did he ever. Mark Walter, the owner of the Dodgers, juggernaut. They're going to win 171 games this year. I went on the app online of our friends at DraftKings, and there's a market, if you want, where you can bet that the Dodgers will go undefeated at 172-0. It's a minus market. You got to lay money, so just be aware of it. Mark Walter is the owner of the Dodgers. He's another example of someone who Commissioner Rob Manfred is going to allow to talk. And he talked. Right around opening weekend, all owners talk to the media, but not on every subject. When Mark Walter is going to be asked, which he was very prepared to be asked about, are the Dodgers the Death Star of baseball? Are they ruining baseball? Are they a total, unadulterated nightmare? What do you think that Mark Walter is going to be bridged to say? Bridged meaning, what is he going to be taught to say? That's PR parlance for those not in the industry. When you bridge an answer to what exactly you want to talk about. When asked about economic parity, competitive imbalance, he said, quote, money helps us win. We can't win all the time. We've got to have some parity. I looked at that quote and I said, hold on. Wait a minute. Did Mark Walter, the owner of the Dodgers, just acknowledge that having him win all the time would not be good for baseball? And that having other people win the World Series is going to be good? And by the way, we've got to have parity? Hold on a second. Hold on. Did Dodgers owner Mark Walter acknowledge that baseball needs salary cap measures to make sure there's competitive balance? Did he say that revenue disparity prevents small market teams from winning? Hold on. I may plots. What would be the reason that MLB would want Mark Walter out there saying the things that he said that not one person in the Dodgers organization agrees with? They all say, hey, we're doing it by the rules. And by the way, we're smarter than the rest of you. And you're damn right, we've got more sponsorship dollars and more money available. You want to know why our total payroll this season is going to be more than really the bottom 5 teams combined? It's because we sell more. More people come to games. More corporate sponsorships. Yeah, we got Ohtani, but we parlayed that guy into a 4-to-1 investment, minimum. Mark, it's Rob, the commissioner. Could you do me a solid, please, buddy boy? Because we did you a solid with your TV deal. Could you just go ahead and say that you need and believe that as a Dodgers team, you'd be better off with more competitive balance? Are you okay going out there? Please, could you be a honeybee and go out there and say that you got to have parity in Major League Baseball for it all to work out? Mark, I'm begging you, just one last thing. Please. Can you acknowledge that it's not good for the game for you to win the World Series every year? Just for fun, just if you don't mind. If I go 2 for 3 with my requests, I'm okay, Marky Mark. But if I could go 3 for 3, I mean, come on, man. Mark Walter speaks to Rob Manfred and realizes, I got to tell you, it doesn't hurt me at all to come out and talk about economic disparity and competitive balance, because what it does is it shows the players union, hey, you're not going to be able to divide and conquer the big market, large payroll teams from the small market, small payroll teams. Not going to happen. We are a united front. We stand as one. And do you know what Mark Walter's comments mean at the end of the day? Zero. They have zero impact in how he will vote for a new CBA or what he is doing behind the scenes to make sure that the competitive advantage that he has built and believes that he has uniquely been able to build, until he is of the belief that that is going to stay as is, he ain't going to be a yes vote. And you're not going to be fooled by an anonymous vote after a CBA. You're not going to be, because you know it's only anonymous after the losers lose. Are there teams angry that the Dodgers were able to sign a 5-year, $100+ million naming rights deal for its field? That's right, Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium. Are you jealous? Yeah, of course we're jealous. They're jealous. The other teams get jealous. But you think that that's how to change the system? To penalize the Dodgers from maximizing whatever revenue and deciding whatever percentage of revenue they want to put into their major league team? Absolutely not. You can't legislate away class differences, no matter how hard politicians try. Nothing personal pick of the day. This is one of those times I just got to swallow hard. I got to get through it. You can do it, David. Thursday, opening day. How do you not take Skeens at only -1 or 2 over the Mets? Oh, that's right, because Skeens went 2/3 of an inning. How do you not take the Royals and Cy Young candidate Cole Reagans over the Atlanta Braves on Friday night? How do you not? Oh, that's right. I'm cold. 17-24. We're back at it. We're back at it because Ron Hair Suarez, that's right, he changed his name. It's not Ranger. No. He made sure that we pronounce it correctly going forward. Ron Hair Suarez and the Red Sox are playing the Astros, Lance McCullers. Last call. This is the last call for the Astros dynasty. And it's sort of like semisonic in a way. It is closing time. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. And that's the top of the standings. The Astros are likely finished, as hard as that is to tell you. Red Sox are -118, coming off a tough opening series against the Reds. Let's go, Red Sox. Let's start the march back to 500. I feel like, Coke, I'm always on the march to 500 in the picks of the day. How can it be that one man can be that mediocre? You know, I'm sitting there watching football this weekend, baseball this weekend, Coca, and I was thinking to myself, I'm watching so many games at once. It's like you've got the red channel, but red zone, but you don't. You go back and forth. You're trying to figure out where games are what. I bought the Gotham map because I wanted to watch the Yankees. I'm watching the Mets and the Marlins and the Red Sox and the Reds. And all I keep saying to myself is, God, do I miss that competition? We'll be right back after this break. We got a lot to go over. We haven't even talked about the Final Four yet. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. You gotta love being from Connecticut. I mean, other than the fact that the merit and the hutch, it's outrageous. Other than the fact that you think about the traffic just trying to go pick up some food from a studio in Stamford. Other than the fact that, it's a train ride. Amtrak does it. Connecticut. Who doesn't want to be in stores? The UConn men and the UConn women are going to the Final Four. I mean, the UConn women, what's the big deal? They've been there, I think, every year. I think UConn goes to the Final Four in women's basketball in the NCAA tournament every year. Their coach, Gino Auriemma, has been there 25 times. He's won 12 titles. He is John Wooden, for crying out loud. The Connecticut women are just hard to imagine. So congratulations to them. Dan Hurley, the coach who you read about as the coach of Connecticut, who has some, shall we say, media situations that come up from time to time. He may have some temper situations that come up from time to time, but it's hard to argue with the fact that, they've been to 3 Final Fours in the past 4 years. This is UConn. They've won the NCAA tournament twice already out of those Final Four appearances. This is the 3rd one, which means they're going to win again. It's hard for me to deal with. It's hard. I've got friends who went to Arizona. They love Arizona. They're super excited that Arizona's in its first Final Four since 2001. I know a million people who are Michigan Wolverines, all of whom I love, some of you. But I have complete disdain for all of you because you're not Badgers and you have this view that somehow Michigan is so much greater than Wisconsin. My bracket had Wisconsin going to the finals, obviously. I think they still have a shot to go to the NCAA tournament finals, maybe. But man, Michigan, I can't. Do you remember the whole Michigan story about what happened in their university this entire year? Remember their football coach at all? No? Sharon Moore, does that not mean anything to you? Do you remember the guy? He had the affair and then he went crazy and did some stalking. Knife, hurt, oy vey, kill, me, now, jail, fired. Nothing? Well, it's all old news now. Michigan basketball, they're doing it. I had Duke winning the whole thing, Coca. How did they do last night? I just have a 2-minute story for you on this subject. I'm having dinner like a normal person because normal people eat dinner. And it's true, I'm at a restaurant. It's true, I am with my mother at a restaurant. And it's true, I'm with my partner at a restaurant. And we're eating. And all of a sudden, in a restaurant that's not all that packed, there comes a scream. And I agreed to go during the UConn Duke game because that's the new David. I'm not going to become some sort of TV junkie. Just not going to do it. So I'm sitting there at a restaurant, happens to be Indian food, which I love. I love the spice because I can sort of taste the spice. And then a scream comes inside a restaurant. So I stand up and I say, the only scream that could possibly be happening, having me checked my phone 10 times during dinner, is, did someone get hurt? Did someone get killed? What could have possibly just happened because Duke had a comfortable lead and my bracket was alive? Do you know when you practice end of game action, you practice whether or not you hold the ball, pass the ball, what you do in the backcourt after a made shot, after a missed shot. When you have the ball and the lead of 3 points and you get a rebound, here's what you do with 5 seconds left. When you've got a 4-point lead, a 1-point lead, you practice all of it. Having been through practices and batting practices and infield drills for so many years and being a part of sports and athletics, the reason why you practice something is that it's supposed to make it easier during a game to do what you practice. It's supposed to become second nature. It's supposed to become that the game slows down so you can effectively do what you're supposed to do. Except college is full of kids, not adults. Forgetting our friend John Calipari, who says that everyone's 28. College is full of kids. Kids make mistakes. Pros make mistakes. Yes, they do. Because even the over-the-hill pros are 35 years old. That's sort of young, isn't it, in the real world? Well, what Mr. Boozer did at the end of the Duke game, Caden Boozer's his name, he got the ball, and all he had to do was hold it and run out the clock, and Duke wins. But he tried to pass the ball up court, and it got stolen by Connecticut, deflected and stolen. Connecticut all of a sudden gets to take a crazy three, and some freshman, some kid who literally was in high school economics blowing it off like a few months ago. Duke had a 19-point lead. It disappeared, and then they lost. Now, here's the schadenfreude of the whole thing. Because while I did choose Duke to win the tournament in my bracket, which is going to be a loser, which is fine. It is what it is. It's like the NFL Survivor Pool. You're not going to win. It's like the box pools during the Super Bowl. You're not going to win. But do I take some pleasure in watching Duke lose? Just asking. Do you think I do? Now, why would I? Why would I, as a Badger, take pleasure in Duke losing? I can't think of the reason. So here's what's happening. What's happening that interests me more than all of the results, because we do have a Final Four next week, and it's cool. It's actually good games. You're going to have Illinois against UConn, and you're going to have Arizona against Michigan, and that interests me. Do I have that right, Coca? I did that straight from memory. And now I'm questioning myself, and I don't want to be embarrassed, and we can edit that out. I think it's Illinois, UConn, and I think it's... Okay, thank you, Coca. Who's favored in that? I'm going to say that Illinois should be favored by a point or two against UConn because Illinois is damn good, even though they're the 3 seed. And I'm going to say in the Michigan-Arizona game, it probably should be Arizona, even though Michigan's so freaking good. But I'm going to say Arizona. How do I even... DraftKings has Illinois and Michigan as 1.5-point favorites. That's how I see the game. Don't worry. I'll pick them on Friday's show or Thursday's show, and I'm going to nail it. I mean nail it, because I am H-O-T-T. Something happened as a follow-up that I want to make sure you're focused on. Do you remember the lawsuit? I love follow-up. You've gotten used to it with Nothing Personal. We follow up with Wait to Seize. We follow up with stories where we take positions on things that are happening because we want you to know whether or not we're right or wrong, because that's not my ego. My ego is that you're listening in the first place and that you care enough to form an opinion based on things that I tell you, and you know you're going to hear about it again. Do you remember that lawsuit with DraftKings that, yeah, DraftKings is our sponsor. They are our partner for Nothing Personal and Meadowlark. But do you remember the lawsuit where there was the NCAA saying, hey, dude, stop using March Madness and Sweet 16 and Elite 8, and they filed for a immediate injunction stopping its use? And do you remember what I said? Like, hey, good luck with that. Well, follow up. We've got a judgment. We've got an order. Judge Tanya Walton Pratt ruled the NCAA did not show that DraftKings using those terms would cause irreparable harm to the NCAA, which means, that's right, the NCAA's motion denied. That was an easy one. It's really hard to get an injunction. You really have to prove that you're getting screwed. And the truth of the matter is that when you see March Madness on your DraftKings app, you're not thinking to yourself, wow, that definitely is the NCAA. And on top of that, whew, my view of the NCAA has completely changed, that there's the words March Madness or Elite 8 or Final Four being used on DraftKings and other apps. And by the way, now I'm not going to support the NCAA, because how could I support someone that would allow DraftKings to use the words Elite 8? Oh, I didn't even know Elite 8 were the NCAA words. I digress. A total loss for the NCAA, as projected, as promised. Let's talk about WNBA. No, I'm not going back to the WNBA CBA. I'm not going to have the argument with Dan Le Batard or anybody in his universe about this. I'm not going to again point out to you my view of the WNBA CBA. However, if you saw the news yesterday, you may want to give some thought to what I've been saying. Ever heard the name Tillman Fertitta? You've heard it on this show. He wants expansion, NHL, hockey in Houston, NGTH, baby. Not going to happen. He always wanted to buy a team. Well, he got himself a team, baby. Now, it is true. He owns a basketball team, finally, the Houston Rockets. But you know what else is super cool? He now owns the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA. That's right. That's the same team that we covered back when things were insane with the Connecticut Sun. Remember, they're owned by the Mohegan tribe. Any of this ring a bell where people wanted to move them to Boston, buy them? People wanted to buy them and move them to New York, buy them and move them somewhere. Or the state of Connecticut made a big thing about keeping them in the state of Connecticut. And remember the prices that were being offered? Does anyone recall the about $325 million offer that was made? I'm just curious whether that is ringing a bell at all. The $325 million offered by Steve Pagliuca to buy the Connecticut Sun and move them to Boston. Do you remember that? Well, remember $325 million to move from Connecticut to Massachusetts. Okay. Do you remember the fact that there was a group who was willing to just keep the team right where it was? Remember that guy, Mark Lazary, the NBA owner, who said, hey, I'll pay $325. I'll do better than Boston. I'll leave him in Connecticut. Remember that? Do you think that was true? Because Fertitta came in and offered $25 million less and said, on top of you getting less money, Mohegan Tribe, I'm taking the team out of Connecticut altogether and I'm moving it to Houston. Well, that sounds absolutely strange, doesn't it? How could that be that you'd allow a team to sell for fewer dollars than was actually offered by someone else? How would you allow a team to be sold to a guy out of state and then not charge a relocation fee? What is this, John Fisher? You're right, folks. You couldn't imagine that happening. So what does that actually mean? Does it mean that the $325 million offer wasn't real? Wasn't actually $325 million? Because until you show me the meat of the offer to move the team to Houston of $300 million and show me the meat of the offer made by these other men to buy at $325, I am not going to tell you that $325 is a better offer. I can come up with a million ways just on a Monday afternoon to offer you $2 billion for something, but in fact, the actual offer is 1.2. I can show you how to offer $1.2 billion for something, and it really is $1.2 billion. Or I can offer you how to make it look like it's all a facade. If you are Adam Silver, I want you to be in his shoes. Are you sure that you want to put an expansion fee on the WNBA that has been growing and growing, and people want expansion? And you've got to match a relocation fee that matches what you are telling people is the health of your league and of your teams? Well, if no one's willing to pay that relocation fee, then then the health that you want to exist doesn't actually exist. When you talk about the NBA and Adam Silver trying to get $7 to $10 billion in an expansion fee for the NBA, that is because they know they are getting $7 to $10 billion. Do you think for a New York minute that if they had gone around to these cities and to these ownership groups in Seattle and in Vegas and had been told that the best they're going to get as an expansion fee is $100 million, do you think that the NBA would have let it out there that they're looking for between 7 and 10 billion? Is there anything that would make them look worse? When Major League Baseball did not offer and require John Fisher to pay a relocation fee for Vegas, do you not agree that that was with expansion in mind, and the delta in the expansion fee and in the relocation fee can't be all that different? I know you're paying attention to these small, subtle things that go on that people on other shows are saying, man, there's something that's got to be off. This is unfair. This is an outrage. And by the way, the politicians are doing it too. The senator from Connecticut's like, WNBA put a full court press on blocking the Sun from staying in Connecticut. That's harmful to fans that live and breathe basketball. The Department of Justice should investigate and stop such anti-competitive interference. I can't. I just can't with these politicians. They're all out here trying to tell you that they've got your best interests in mind. They're so far on the left, and their simple point is, hey, let me tell you how this is going to work. We're going to make sure that no teams relocate. We're going to save the teams for your cities. I promise. We're going to get involved in the private sector in a way that will only benefit you. I mean, we did a whole show with a Democratic congressman named Greg Kazar, who introduced a bill, and he and Bernie Sanders are getting so much attention for this. We're releasing it as a standalone podcast today. It's on YouTube right now. We did a full sit down with this congressman who tried to convince us, and believe me, we didn't take it lying down or sitting up. We debated with this member of the House, explaining to him why his bill, called the Home Team Act, stopping anyone from relocating without offering the team to local investors, why this is dead on arrival. Why this is so ridiculous, because you are trying to stop the free market. Just think about what the Connecticut Attorney General said about this whole Connecticut Sun moving to Houston situation. That Connecticut is the heart and soul of women's basketball. All right, let's just stop with the hyperbole and platitudes. Let's see what else the Attorney General said. There would be no WNBA without the players, coaches, and dedicated fan base in and from Connecticut. You're right. Once the team leaves Connecticut, the WNBA is going to fold. Nailed it. All right, maybe the third sentence will be something. I'm aware of concerning reports regarding a sale that would move the Sun out of Connecticut. Boy, that is some sort of epiphany. Now we're really cooking with gas. The Office of the Attorney General previously requested relevant documents, and we have reviewed portions of certain documents. I love that. You've read 2 sentences of paragraph Gimel, which is 1 page of 300, but don't worry, you're on the case. We've requested relevant documents, reviewed portions of certain documents. We are consulting with our partners in state government and local leaders regarding this disappointing news. Thank God I've got an audience, and as a politician, I can stand up and I can tell you that I am outraged. It is morally repugnant that there is an offer of $25 million more. Show me the offer of $25 million more. All cash? No reductions? No subtractions? Interesting. No new stadium required? New arena? Interesting. I laughed. I did laugh. Do you remember when back in July, this is not many months ago, this is 10 months ago, 9 months ago, when all of this ridiculousness was starting? When the WNBA said, hey, relocation decisions are made by the WNBA Board of Governors, not by individual teams. Remember that lovely quote? Well, yeah, of course, you can't just relocate your team. You can't. You have to get voted on by the owners Just like you need 23 owners in baseball to relocate. You can't just say, hey, I'm leaving Montreal. It doesn't work that way. No groups from Boston applied for a team at that time, and those other cities remain under consideration based on the extensive work they did as part of the expansion process and currently have priority over Boston. You remember that, I hope, because the Connecticut Sun moving to Houston has been underway for months. It has been a process that has been followed by the Fertitta family. That is exactly what the WNBA wanted. You want to get a team in Boston? No problem. Here's what the expansion fan will be, and just wait your turn. Don't get fooled by people who come out and tell you they've been wronged when they don't have the proof and you're not asking the right questions. Tiger Woods is a great example of that. I have no proof that he was on drugs during his latest DUI. I haven't seen the evidence. I haven't watched any tape. I haven't listened to him talking. I haven't heard a thing. When things come on my algorithm, like Justin Timberlake in Sag Harbor, it's not hard to tell that Justin Timberlake was under the influence. It's just not hard for a cop, for sure. But if it's not hard for me, then it's easy for a police officer who is trained to know. Because did you know that there are police officers who can get trained to figure out what drugs you're on? Oh, you say you're on Ambien? Nope, I know what that's like. You say you're on Oxy? Nope, I know what that's like. You say you're on Tylenol with codeine? Nope, I know what that's like. You say you're not on Coke? Well, I know what that's like. You could actually get certified. There are classes police officers can go to, and people online are so mentally deficient. He blew a 0.00. He's obviously sober. Driving under the influence is not just about alcohol. If you think that you haven't had a drink and therefore you can drive, but you're popping pills or powder or doing something else, guess what? Don't drive. It's a crime. Tiger Woods has gotten a lot of attention this weekend because it seems that he's got more car accidents than most people. Of course, that's totally anecdotal because it's just more people who we've heard of, and he seems to survive them all because a lot of people get into car accidents and they die, in which case they can't get into more car accidents. But Tiger Woods seems to get into car accidents and somehow walk away. The latest one in Jupiter, Florida, yes, where we did spring training for 17 out of 18 years. The most recent accident where the car flipped on its side, somehow Tiger Woods escaped. I'm showing you, for those of you watching, what the car looked like. I'm showing his mugshot because he got arrested. The question about Tiger Woods is, what now? What do you do if you are Tiger Woods' advisors? Everyone said, oh, it's just so easy. Get him a driver. Have him take Uber every time. The number of times that I've told players that when they've gotten DUI, hey, dude, we'll pay for your driver. Why not just get a driver? Just out of curiosity, if we had a player who got hurt in a car accident, the way that Tiger Woods got hurt in 2021 when his car rolled over and he almost lost his life and his legs and ended up not losing either, but had a leg injury hard enough and deep enough and bad enough to impact his golf. Or you may recall when he went 84 and a 45, or maybe you're saying, all I can remember is that July 2024 situation. That's fine. Whatever it is your thought. Tiger Woods has been having issues with driving since May of 2017. If we acknowledge that Tiger Woods has a problem, I'm not going to say he's got a drug problem. I'm not going to say he has an alcohol problem. I'm not going to say he has a marital problem or a girlfriend problem. I'm going to say he has a driving problem. And the reason I'm going to say it is that it is much easier to handle problems when you are aware of what they are. Acknowledgement. Ending denial. The ego that we all have, and it's not about being famous, it's the ego that we have. We're good. We had one drink. We're fine. We did this amount of drugs. We're this high. I'm not going to tell you that I didn't drive or was not in a car with someone who was high when I was in high school, and that we would jokingly say to ourselves, we can't feel the pedal. Make no mistake. Anyone who is 58 years old watching this, you got lucky. We all got lucky in whatever way to age and however we age, because we didn't die from disease. We didn't die from an accident. Tiger Woods is in a situation where he is tempting fate in a way that you would think no matter his economic status, he would have the ability to say, all right, I really think it's totally fine to have a driver in my inner circle who can drive me to all the places that I don't want people to know I go, who can be around the people who I don't want everybody to know that I like to be around, who can watch me, because there are people like that in the world who are total vaults. Now, they sometimes can be accused of being enablers. I call them vaults. A true vault. Does that exist? No. Is there someone who does not spill the tea in a moment of weakness to a friend, a colleague, or a family member? One of the big reasons I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy is, can there be something that many people would actually keep secret, when my view is no one keeps anything secret? But could Tiger Woods find a driver who would be able to keep a secret long enough, and if he sells stuff to the tabloids, Tiger Woods could stand up and say, you know what? I like drugs. I like women. I like alcohol. But I have a driver. All of the talk right now that the future of Tiger Woods in golf, whether or not he can still have a say in the future of golf, whether or not he can still be on the certain committees that he's on, or be a part of LIV and PGA negotiations, which aren't really happening, be a part of PGA and all the changes that they're trying to make, be a father, be a boyfriend. No, can't do it because he had another car accident. Those aren't related, folks, I must tell you. And for whatever reason, we have this view in society. Adultery? You're screwing around on the side? You better call a press conference, game over. But you're an absolute criminal when it comes to economics or your business or other things in life. You have no moral compass, no moral center. You're an absolute POS. Hey, no problem. At least we didn't find out yet that you're cheating on your wife or husband. It all seems crazy to me. I got a solution, though. My solution is this. Tiger Woods needs to meet the media. He needs to meet the media soon. He needs to acknowledge the issue. He needs to give us the fix to the issue. And then he needs to tell us that he's not going anywhere. I think we're going to go 3 for 3 when Tiger first meets the media. I'm furious with Alec Bohm's parents. If you don't know this story, you're about to hear something that should make you sick. If you're a fan of child actors, you've heard the story before. It's not just about Gary Coleman. It's so many child actors who get taken advantage of by their parents, who are living vicariously through them, who are spending their money. Oh my God, this happens in sports too. It's true. There are parents who secrete away the signing bonuses of their children, and then all of a sudden they're gone. There are parents who absolutely steal money from their kids. Alec Bohm is a player for the Philadelphia Phillies who is suing his parents. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Yeah, you have. Kids have been suing their parents since the beginning of time, trying to either A, get control of the money they've earned, B, to find the money that they've earned that's now gone, or C, for like total full emancipation. Like, dude, stop being my manager. I can't stand the thought of being around you every day. Alec Bohm started a foundation. A lot of players have it, and I love it. Alex Bohm realized recently, after having asked for account statements for the first time, and said, hey, there seems to be some money missing here. What in the hell? And Alex Bohm's parents would not respond. Alex Bohm's parents went silent. Alec Bohm's parents basically said, speak to the lawyer. Alec Bohm is out money. Don't believe that narrative. Alec Bohm is not out any money. Alec Bohm, when he made his contribution to that foundation, gets a full deduction even before the foundation gives any grants. You can give money to your own foundation, take a deduction, which is a tax beneficial thing to do. Then when the foundation 501c3 is giving grants, you don't get to deduct those because you already have. You can't deduct twice. Alec Bohm does not have an opportunity to recoup $3 million back into his personal checking account. But Alec Bohm is trying to figure out, how is it possible that I entrusted my parents to do the right thing with people in a community and they stole the money? There is no hell deep enough or no jail disgusting enough that can house certain groups of individuals, pedophiles, murderers, rapists, embezzlers from your child. That tucks right under child abuse. The reason I have such strong feelings about this is I find it hard to believe and pathetic that parents are so interested in living off the success of their children because they weren't able to have their own success, or their own success was different, or they have their child do a sport that they actually don't want to do because the father wants them to do it because the father wanted to be good at the sport but wasn't, or the mother wants to see a child be good at X, Y, or Z to feel good when they're in their sewing circles talking about the accomplishments and after-school activities and all the other nonsense that is the competition between mothers when it comes to children. Don't you tell me how to parent. I'll take advice, financial advice, hell yeah. Insurance advice, need that. Practical driving advice, I'll take a class. Parenting advice, I'm sorry. What handbook did you read? What to expect when you're expecting? When did you learn to be a good parent? But you won't take advice? Oh no, because somehow that impugns your entire existence. It reminded me when this story came out about Bohm's parents. There was a story from, I don't know, where a guy was just arrested this month. But there was a 43-year-old person. He used to direct a sort of preschool in Park Slope. You may remember this. And this woman basically stole $3 million in tuition funds in order to finance her lifestyle. She bought tickets to events and she bought experiences. And guess what she didn't do? She did not have an opportunity to in any way educate the children. Coke, I'm getting older. I'm getting angrier. I'm getting less tolerant. My frustration tolerance levels are at an all-time low for various myriad reasons. It's manifesting itself in some ways that I'm not proud of. But if you think that I'm ever going to grow up and be okay with drunk driving, murder, rape, child neglect, child abuse, stealing money from your children, you got the wrong person. I'm not even upset with the Phillies for looking at a 13-year-old kid and saying, hey, we promised you a rose garden, and now we're giving you nothing. I think it's great. The Philadelphia Phillies this weekend announced that they are canceling the $1.3 million agreement they had with a top international prospect. You remember, that guy's 13. Turns out the 13-year-old was doing steroids. So Philly said, oh, that's why you're throwing 88 as the 13-year-old. I get it. Sorry, that $1.3 million we promised you, see you later. We take it back. Do I blame the 13-year-old for doing steroids? Are you kidding me? What I blame is the 13-year-old and the 13-year-old's parents did not have a Busconi who was smart enough to say, hey, just so you know, you don't get the $1.3 million right now, but I'll give you a little something, something. I'm the crooked Busconi in the Dominican. I am more than happy if you don't mind. I'll give you like $2,500. I'll make it so you could maybe have a roof over your head and maybe have running water, maybe plumbing, but let's not get crazy. But just know, when your 13-year-old finishes learning his Haftorah portion, when he sees the first hair under his pit and he gets the first check, I'm taking 50% of it. And I'm going to do that his entire career. But don't worry, you'll get a roof over your head. God, it's so crooked in the Dominican, no matter what MLB does to try to change it. It's so crooked. Telling a 13-year-old they're going to get $1.3 million. Stop. Just stop. Though we're never going to stop. Why would we stop? I was a part of it. Golly, Coco, why would I stop? If I've got an international scout who I'm paying $7,000 to, and they're so happy to get the $7,000 because they're living in the Dominican, they're running around the Dominican, they've got 4 other jobs, but they're going to tell me when they find a kid who's going to be something and then we get to sign him? Hell yeah. Here's an idea, baseball. If you're interested, how about an international draft and then no other player is eligible to be signed? And how about you have an international draft where you have as many rounds as people want players? And you've got to be 15 or 16 to be drafted, and we're going to keep that thing going. 50 rounds, it's like the old rules of the amateur draft in baseball in the United States. The amateur draft would go until someone decided to stop drafting. It's sort of like one of those great card games. Pass, 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 bet, pass. All right, we got to keep going. But if you pass twice, you're out. You're out. That's what the draft used to be like. Do that with the international draft. If there's 100 rounds of the international draft and there's 120 players who were signed, great. Signing bonus, $50. Great, I'm in. Whatever you do, you can't have a system where you've got a team offering $1.3 million to a 13-year-old and then wonder how it's possible the 13-year-old is going to take steroids and then wonder why the 13-year-old is never going to see a red cent of that money. I'm just asking, are you wondering those things? Because if you are, stop. Would you not do that if you were the Phillies? God, I blame the Phillies for so much stuff. So much. Like signing a 13-year-old to start with. Wink, wink. It's not a signing. It's a promise. It's like the promise commitment rings in the new Netflix show, The Age of Attraction. Hey, do you promise? How old are you? What, you're 54? I'm 27. Here's that ring. Put the ring on. We're committed. Oh, yeah. Camera stopped. See you later, oldie. God, there are people who are smiling right now, Coca. The Netflix real world people are laughing their kishkas off right now. The NBA did it. They have nailed it. Tanking, taken care of. No more. I was looking at the standings the other day. I don't remember what day it was. It could have been Friday. It could have been Saturday. It could have been Sunday. I just don't know. Whatever it was. Tanking. Adam Silver. We did a whole thing, didn't we? Adam Silver, I'm going to take care of it. Hard stop. Full stop, I believe were his exact words. Tanking. Solved. Well, they released a few proposals, and I got to tell you, tanking's not solved. The NBA presented 3 comprehensive anti-tanking concepts to the Board of Governors this week. ESPN came out with the whole thing. They got word. I can't imagine where they get word from. How's that even possible? How would ESPN get the ability to be inside an owner's meeting? Everything we did in MLB owners meetings never made it to the press. No one had access. It was absolutely Al Capone's vault, baby. Let me see if I can get you to approve of one of these 3 options. Now, I could read it exactly as they were presented, or I could try to sum it up. Which would you prefer, Coca? I know what I'd prefer. I'm going to sum it up. Ready? 1. We're going to put not just the teams who don't make the play-in in the lottery or make the playoffs in the lottery. We're going to put every team in the lottery from 7 to 15. This is assuming still 30 teams, keep in mind. When it's 32 teams, that's 2 more teams in the lottery. But we are going to put in every team. Only 6 teams per conference. That's 12, which means 18 teams will be in that lottery. But don't worry. Those teams are going to have flattened odds. Forget ping pong balls and percentages and higher percentages. We're going to go full socialism. Everybody's the same. Every bottom team will have an 8% chance. Whether you have the worst record, the second worst record, the third worst record, you will have an 8% chance of winning. That's 10 teams with an 8% chance. You still with me? That's 80% of the ping pong balls. Well, where are the other 20% of the ping pong balls? Here we go. The other 20% of the ping pong balls, those will be distributed in decreasing order for the teams who are 11 through 18. Got it? Is that clear? Just so you're very well aware, that solution is asinine. But don't worry, because we know that if a team doesn't think it has a chance to get the number 1 pick in the draft, they're not going to tank. That is completely incorrect. All right, second option. Here we go. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is so good. This will address player concerns. This will address fan concerns because teams will realize they can't be bad for 2 years in a row. Why? Because we're going to do a lottery system where we're going to use the 2-year rolling record for teams. Oh, if you lose in the first round of the playoffs, lottery. Okay, just make sure you get the second one. That is a 2-year rolling record and then first round playoff losers. Lottery. Well, I don't know about you. My tanking days are over. All right, maybe the third one. The third one must be good. All right, here we go. Easy. Bottom 5 teams, equal chance. You're going to tank. You better be one of the bottom 5 teams. Take a look at the standings right now if you don't mind. But having said that, you don't have to. I'll do it for you. Perfect. Bottom 5 teams, equal odds. That sounds so good, doesn't it? Bottom 5 teams can never get worse than a top 10 pick. This is amazing, right? This makes perfect sense. You know what that's called? That's called a tiny little lottery tweak where right now the odds are slightly greater when you've got the worst record, except they flattened that out by making the odds pretty damn close for the 1, 2, and 3 worst records. So we're just going to expand that to 5, and now we've handled tanking. What do you think would handle tanking? What is it? If you just write quick, like word association, handle tanking. Oh, I got it. Best record in the league gets the top pick. I've just handled tanking. Because you have the worst record in the league. You have the worst pick in the first round. What's the reason why teams are tanking? Hurry. The reason for tanking. Hurry up. Because building through the draft and getting good players through the draft is the best chance you have to be good as fast as possible. Does that interest us? Does it interest us in giving a pathway to teams to turn around their performance faster? I don't know. It doesn't work for the Jets, for the Dolphins, for the Wizards, for the Nets. Doesn't work for certain teams. So what do? My solution from the beginning has not been to stick an envelope to the bottom of the lottery ping pong envelope box and make sure the Knicks get Patrick Ewing. That has not been my solution. My solution has been that I am going to abolish the draft. Do you remember when I told you let's do an international draft in baseball? But you also know that my point of view has always been I'm happy for every player to be a free agent every single year. You only have a certain amount in a salary cap sport of players on the team in basketball. The salary cap is the cap. Even the second apron's the second apron, and very few teams, if any, are going to hit that. You've got a salary floor. Everybody's a free agent, and whoever signs. You want to sign a guy when he's a freshman. You want to sign a guy when he's 13. You want to sign a guy when he's 18. Have at it. Everyone's a free agent. Of course, you're going to make rules. In the Dominican, a 13-year-old is different than a 7th grader in, downtown Boston. But that said, you make rules about age. You got to be 15. You got to be 17. You got to be 18. You got to have a year of college. You could be Spencer Haywood, have no college. I don't care. Whatever rules you want to make. But if you make sure that no one can sign until a certain moment, a certain age from a certain location, and you give teams equal access, you think it's a fight for who's got the best weight room? Horse hockey. Players don't think about it. You think it's a fight for location of the team? Horse hockey. Players don't think about it. You think it's a fight for the amount of money given to an individual player? Bingo. But if you have a salary cap, that money is topped, which means you have to choose as a front office how you want to allocate your dollars. You want to give more? Sounds like NIL, doesn't it, folks? You want to give more to one player than another team can give? Great, offer it. But that means you'll have less money for another roster spot for another player, and you're going to lose that player to another team. It's the ultimate free market that has been denied by players' unions since the beginning of time because, God forbid, there is an effort to get players paid based on actual accomplishment, actual talent and projection versus backwards looking. You are not going to be able to legislate away tanking. Hard stop. The NBA is going to change the rules. I promise you that. The NBA is going to stand up and tell you that what we have done will stop tanking. The NBA is going to tell you that we've thought through every rule. We've thought through every possibility. My name is Adam Silver, and I convened a think tank that would make Mensa drool. And what they've come up with is a guarantee. We got input from general managers, team presidents, and owners. We studied it. Nope. That's just what we always say we do. When we are giving you rule changes, whether it's in baseball or basketball or certain things that we're addressing because the media has gone loony about it, we convene committees. Sometimes we do outside investigations. Sometimes we do both. Sometimes we have a written report. Sometimes it's an oral report. And sometimes it's neither. But either way, we are going to tell you, the media, and tell you, the fans, that we have thought through with great contemplation. And guess what? We're smarter than you. We know what we're doing way more than you speculators out there in the real world. And you've got to believe me. What we do works. Why do I smile about that? Because at the end of the day, it's not true. You want to do something to cure tanking? They don't. They want to do something to cure the bad articles. You want to do something to cure 13-year-olds being promised money like a commitment ring in the promise room? We really don't. We like the wild, wild west. We want to believe, and we do believe, that our guys are better, our scouts are better, our convincing power is better, our money's better, et cetera, et cetera. What is it that you think we actually want to do? We want to make sure the gulf between what you think is real and what is real continues to grow. We want to make sure that you never see that we are the Wizard of Oz, that we're just a person behind a big curtain that's just a tiny guy with a microphone that's talking in a voice like this, which makes you think that we're superior to you. That's it. Hey, we're not curing cancer. Don't get me wrong. I wish we were. You're going to get a lot of solutions about tanking coming forward. You're going to get Mark Cuban or Bill Simmons or all the different people to tell you what they think is right, how they think they'll solve it. All the people not in the room that want to be in the room. Hey, sometimes I'm on that list. Guess what, though? It's just business. We'll be back on Wednesday. I promise you that. This is nothing personal.